call this a stew or a casserole, there is no doubt that my Asian braised shin of beef is quintessential comfort food. I love cooking this when I want to make a weekend feel cosy and I've got time to potter in the kitchen. Like all stews, it starts with an onion. That in itself is reassuring. But although I like the familiar, I don't always want sameness. And so this stew has a little bit of zing and tang, slightly different. 4 garlic cloves go into this, and I can tell you, my granny would not have made a stew with 4 cloves of garlic. And I've got some fresh ginger. For me, ginger really is the scent of Asian food. So I'm adding a lot of it. I want all that peppery warmth. And now the earthiness of some ground coriander. This stew may be comfort food, but it really has a lot of bite. Let's give these a blitz. I've really blitzed the onions and the ginger to a mush here, and this really spicy onion mixture goes into some groundnut oil in a big pan. And the reason why this pan is so big is because I got clunking great big bits of beef shin to go in a minute. This part is about intensifying the flavour, and there is still a lot of flavour to come. They won't brown, of course, because it is a wet mixture, but it might darken a little. I call this Asian braised shin of beef, but it's really the inspiration that is Asian. But part of it is all about this fantastic Shaoxing wine. Good dollop in there, and this will bubble up. Now, if you can't find this, don't worry, because sherry will do. But I love the taste here. See, it's excitedly bubbling up now. So on top, some sugar, not a lot, some dark brown sugar. And to balance that, a vicious hit of rice vinegar. Saltiness essential with meat. Soy sauce. And then a bit of thick, luscious oyster sauce. A bit of a stir. This is a casserole quite unlike the ones you may have been brought up on. A lot of stock. Now, I get the shin of beef from a butcher, and they happen to sell beef stock as well, but any beef stock you can get, use. There's a lot going in, but what is the point of a stew without all that lovely sauce? There's a lot of meat here. Look at this. Beautiful. There's some primitive part of me that derives particular pleasure from cooking meat on the bone. And look at that. Great chunks of it. And you can see the marrow inside. It's the bone and that marrow that gives such flavour and make the meat so melting. There's an old saying which is, the nearer the bone, the sweeter the meat. And it's really true. Now, shin does come off the bone too, and you can use that just cubed, in which case I'd say a kilo rather than the 3.5 kilos here. This is old style cooking, but just with a lot of new flavours added. And talking of new flavours, I have a final flourish here with some cinnamon, but 2 sticks. If you wanted to, you could have added some ground cinnamon along with the ground coriander earlier. And here, some beautiful star anise. It doesn't matter whether they're whole or in bits. The pan is bubbling away merrily now, so lid on. And this now needs to go into a low oven, 150, for 2 to 3 hours until it's tender. And while that cooks in the oven, I'm going to do no more than a little slobbing out on the sofa. After the shin has cooked, I take the pieces of meat out, keep them warm, and then reduce the juices by about half, so I've got a thick sauce. My hot and sour shredded salad is the eventual adornment for the Asian braised beef, its crowning glory. I've got the juices from the meat bubbling away there, reducing nicely, and the meat itself under a tent of foil in the oven. And this salad topping, because that's what it is, takes it to a new level. That's the green chilli and the carrots done. I've got a red chilli to go and some spring onions. The idea really is that the stew is rich, and then you suddenly have a hit of spikily dressed raw carrots and chilies and spring onions. So it's almost as if you've got the crunch as well as the sourness as a sort of textural and taste contrast. And finally, some coriander. Now for the dressing. I said this was going to be hot and sour, and it really is. Well, the heat is really just from the chilies. The sour is provided by the juice of a lime. I'm going to amplify the sourness with some fish sauce. Always balance. Can't always manage it in life, so you may as well try and get it right in cooking. Some sugar. There's no oil in this dressing, and that's on purpose. You don't need it. The whole point is the marrow in the shin of beef melts into the stew to make a gravy of such gorgeous unctuousness. You want something sprightly and sharp. Although I always put these crunchy vegetables on top of the stew, I serve it with all sorts of different starches, but today I am in the mood for noodles, and therefore it will be noodles. I've got some boiling salted water, and these just take 3 minutes or so. They're pretty, these little flat discs, compacted nests. Quick stir. Beautiful. But now it's time for the moment of truth, the carnal unveiling. Back in a mo. Now, before I take the foil off, I just have to remind you, stews are about flavour, not form. That's my way of saying it's not going to look very pretty. Not at this stage. That's the whole point as well of this crunchy salad topping. On goes the gravy. What would a stew be like without the gravy? Love this. And now I strew. And one last scattering of coriander. And I know, believe me, I do know how mad it is, how mad it sounds to have salad scattered on top of a stew. But really, would I lead you astray? And here we are, ready to go to the table in all its eccentric splendour.